success, and a mission statement at Claymont City School District creates an environment that nurtures, develops, and empowers each student. Our next regular meeting will be January 13th, 2025. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any addendums, additions, corrections?
I didn't have anything presented to me, so this, no.
I don't have to do that one, right? Because we don't have any.
Right.
And can I get a motion in a second to approve the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Roll call.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison,
Yes.
and Mrs. Host, Mrs. Wolf, sorry.
I just want to throw in accommodation, even though it's there. I know what I put in your board agenda or board update that Heather O'Connor was appointed to the Starlight Board of DD Board. So that's a huge honor for her, just as you guys are sitting here with representing Claymont community. Heather is representing the community at large as far as Tuscarawas County to represent the Board of Developmental Disability. So I'm going to congratulate Heather.
Congratulations.
So, and then I want to publicly say congratulations to the Indian Valley Braves football team for their winning the state championship over the weekend. So that's another huge accomplishment. And those boys did work hard. But I know we have that date circled on the Claymont game this coming year. So we're looking to take it to them then.
I was going to offer that congratulations as well. You know, that's a huge feat, being the very first team in Tuscarawas County who's ever done that. So, you know, and all kinds of good sportsmanship on our part. I congratulate.
It's a big point to make that two teams played against each other and both had a Claymont connection. I thought that was really something.
Yeah.
You know, Travis
Crabtree
was the assistant coach from the Perkins team, and then Chad Peterman, assistant coach from both Claymont Crabs. I thought that was really kind of a neat little tidbit too. So
yeah.
Congratulations to you.
Let's see if anything while we're setting up.
Anybody have administrative reports?
Now, in your administrative reports, so they're in your shared folder. Hopefully you guys have gone through those. There's a lot of things in there that are happening between now and January and even into the next year. From the hygiene drives to the supporting families at Christmas time and students, to the primary doing decorations or I can't even think with ornaments, I think is what you're working on. There's a lot of things that are going on those last couple of weeks here of school and into next year. And then I know Beth put it in her report regarding the solar panels. Also, we have been conversations and with the clinic. The clinic is, I say, basically it needs to be smaller to fit within the budget of what we have to spend. And if it doesn't, and I've been not more than pretty adamant, I've just been very adamant. The fact is we're not spending any Claymont dollars for the clinic. So they've gone back to the drawing board. Originally we're a couple $100,000 above budget. So now it's looking at changing, which will change the design that I shared last month. But I have also been adamant. The fact is that they need to be able to build up if that time comes that the board looks at expanding at the high school and things. So that's still in the works, and hopefully by March we'll still have a groundbreaking and to start that project. But in their reports, there's a lot of fun stuff that's happening.
I know the original proposal. How many square feet was the original?
2,500.
And the new one's 600?
It'll be 1,900 something scaled down. In the grant itself was actually only 2,000 square feet. So from there, we went to 2,500 square feet. Yeah, you know, so that's where the overrun is. So they cut down and they took that hallway off of the outside door on that end. There was a hallway that went straight out to the parking lot. That was an add-on. That will now just be an outdoor still pass through. The access to the, on the new plans, the access to the clinic for students will be in the stairwell area at the, at that south end or the west end. So that's changed in there, and they're also by going it would be considered a separate building, so there won't have to be any fire suppression with sprinkler systems because it'll be a separate building. So we're kind of going around the roundabout way, but it had to be cut down from 4 exam rooms to 3. But I was not going to sacrifice the integrity of the building and the look of the building to make sure that we could get 2,500 square feet. I'm not putting a pool building on there style look, especially whenever, you know, the rest of the building's so nice. So, and I don't know if we want to call on Jeff, but Jeff and I were talking earlier about the solar panels and groundbreaking, but he has some things to share with the solar panels that we can have Jeff come up.
Okay.
Come on.
Yep.
Great. Thanks. Appreciate you taking the time to hear a little bit more about our project. I will let you know that the project has been completed, it's passed inspections, and it's ready to throw the switch, so to speak. The only thing we're waiting on is the investment group that owns the system decided to have us slow the project down so we could turn it on in 2025 as opposed to 2024, which was counterintuitive of what they had us do in the beginning. So it's all Wall Street money, and they have to decide when they want to spend it so that their tax credits are better utilized. So theoretically, they can't see any production on that system in 2024, or they'll have to take the tax credits in this calendar year as opposed to next year. So we anticipate that January the 4th, 5th, they'll contact us and tell us to go ahead and flip the switch and turn that on. So the only thing that's not complete on the system is what I'll call the landscape package, which is the pollinator planting within the fence of the array. So that seed is best when it goes down in January on frozen ground. And that way in the spring, when it comes up, it's a healthier crop. What you'll see there is 42 species of native Ohio pollinator plants. These are from black-eyed Susan to butterfly bush, mini butterfly bush. And what it'll be is anywhere from 6 to 20 inches high, these various plantings, and there'll be different colors at different times of year. So yellow is the predominant color that you'll see, but you'll see some pinks and some reds in there as well. So when you're driving by, looking in the inside the fence, you'll see that color throughout the year. It depends on what species it is when it actually flowers. And then on the Indian Hill roadside, there are going to be 42 arborvitae, evergreen trees. They'll start out at 3 to 4 feet, and they'll eventually go to 8 to 10 feet. They're a very pyramidal, narrow plant, but it gives some texture to, rather than this farm field with this, massive solar array sitting there. So that'll be put forward in the spring. So that'll probably be a March installation. So those are the two things that still have to be completed there. As I said, we've passed inspections and we're ready to go. So once we flip that switch, Kim is going to start to see utility bill savings in the winter months. I'm just looking at this projection, January through March. Those will start out about $2,000 in savings and go up to about $4,000. And then over the summer months, that's when you get the $5,000 and $6,000 savings because we're producing so much more power in those months. So our anticipated
conservative total is going to be about $43,000 the first year. They, and then as AEP's bills increase, which we are already starting to see, then those savings will increase over time. We just can't predict what AEP is going to raise their billings at. I have 2 school districts that just renegotiated their contracts with AEP, and they went up 23% for 2025. So right now, I won't get into the weeds on this, but the electrical energy pricing is at record high increases. I've been doing electrical engineering for 22 years, and we've never seen anything like this. 4%, 7% in Ohio with big utilities per year is what we typically see. Last year in Ohio, it was 15.5% in 23 versus 22. In 24, I haven't seen the final numbers yet, but like I said, I just had 2 school districts renegotiate at 20+% increase. Yeah. So, I mean, your billing ahead of the solar was you were $155,000 in just energy pricing last year. And so you do the math on 20% of that. So that's going to be about $36,000 increase. But the solar was projected at your old rate at $43,000 in savings. So it could be 60-70,000 coming next year for you. So it's a very progressive project that you took on at the right time. So a couple other housekeeping items with completing the project. I mentioned to Brian we wanted to do a groundbreaking. If you're interested in that, we could probably time that up with the clinic. That'd probably be a good time to do that, or we could have a press release. And one of the things we've done with previous schools is allowed the students to name the power plant. Someone might come up with Mustang power plant or whatever it might be. We found that the middle schoolers are the most creative. Sometimes you have to wad what they say and throw it in the trash can. But the high schoolers are too cool for that, and the elementary kids just maybe don't get it. But you do what you want to do. We would like to place a permanent sign on the fence facing at the driveway. You'll be able to see it 4 foot by 8 foot. And so if we could get, the Claymont emblem put up there and then the name of the power plant and the year it was dedicated, that'd be great. And as a way of a contest, we present a pretty neat prize for the winner of that contest. So that's up to you. But I throw that out there as examples of what we've done in other.
So we do that. Do you want us to just email you and say this is the winner that was chosen, or?
Yeah, just the name of the power plant and who the name of the student that won, and we'll acknowledge that with a letter back with the prize for the winner, and then we'll have the sign made up. I'd like to have that done so in March when we do the groundbreaking, or when we do the ribbon cutting, we can have the sign in place.
Well, we have an administrative meeting Wednesday of this week.
Okay.
So I know the principals here will remind me to say something about that if I forget. So.
Right. And you could do it, throughout K-12 if you
Yeah.
want. That's just my suggestion. We found that when you target it, it has maybe some more success.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get the committees together, groups.
And then, of course, once the system is up and running and we've got some math on it, I'd like to be able to meet with some of your curriculum people in the early fall of next year to introduce some curriculum that they can use. We have found that some districts mandated curriculum, and that's not good. Teachers have enough on their plate with planning and whatnot, but we can offer at different levels, like 3rd grade, 6th grade, freshmen, and offer like 3 different. So if I meet with the curriculum people and just figure out what they would like to see when they think. Because a lot of time it's driven by a champion, right? So there's probably some real special science, math teachers in the district that will probably champion something like that, which it's, you know, a couple, 3 days a year where they spend a class period doing math equations, science equations on solar and energy. So anyway, again, more suggestions on what you can do with the program, should you choose to. I have districts that do nothing but calculate the savings. So it's up to you. Are there any questions about the project? You said, Beth said it went okay. We didn't have any real interruptions.
I have one question. Are you gonna give us like numbers, like if something would happen?
Yeah.
You know, just.
So on the signage,
So-
we have found that on the signage, we put a small plate that gives the emergency numbers.
Okay,
We have a after hours number and an, 8 to 5 number. Fortunately, we've only had one phone call from someone who went by and saw some smoke, but it wasn't from the solar array. Someone had set a fire behind solar array.
so
So
they saw your number.
they saw the number and they called us and we sent a guy and called the fire department and it wasn't us, thank God. So anyway, so yes, that's part of the signage. And of course, we're when we do the onboarding switch turn to AEP, we exchange information with them as well. So they have us, yeah. So anything else?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm gonna probably hit the road going back to Cincinnati. And
Drive safely.
try to catch the last half of the Bengals game, right?
There you go. I'll be home in time to watch all of it. So, yeah. You probably get to see more of them than I do, but yeah. Yeah, it's the
I
Cowboys.
don't know. I was gonna say they play Dallas. I'm not sure about that one.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really like the contest naming idea and that they offer curriculum to you.
Yeah.
I think that's outstanding. Yeah.
Because that's a new and upcoming,
Yeah.
CEA have anything? Nobody here from OC.
Nope.
How about Wilmington?
I don't, but I was gonna piggyback off of Jeff. But Buckeye Career Center has its next board meeting next Tuesday. And it's one that they have, maybe you guys all got your invitations to attend the dinner. But I know I'm going, and Kim has gone in the past, so we go and represent the district for that evening. So that is next Tuesday. But the one thing I say, I don't know if I put in my update to you, but the Senate Bill 29, there has been will be some changes to the legislation regarding the notification to parents. So they're kind of finally saying, oh, what we originally passed was not what we intended to pass. So there is some back off of that. So what really they wanted to know were if there's any of life-threatening situations, or we had to access information where they were looking at doing self-harm or harming someone else. So that is changing and that is signed, and that is now, I think it's 90 days before it becomes law. But we'll be looking at acting on, we've kind of taken that premise from the information that we had back in probably September, October. So that, the lady that introduced it or the representative introduced it said that that's what they were looking at. Because that was the intent of it, but that wasn't what was passed. So that they have changed that, which will make it a little bit easier for the building administrators whenever they're monitoring systems for a lost or stolen device, or something pops up that they want to harm themselves or others. So that is changing in Senate Bill 29. And and I know that there's some other legislations that are coming around, but right now I think they're sitting in committees, and probably after the first of the year that we'll see some action on some of the items that have been sitting for a little bit.
You have anything? wanna go over?
If you want me to do this now or?
We can, unless you want, whatever you want to go.
Sure.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do it. Hopefully everybody can hear me.
What?
Yeah. So general fund revenues over 5 months, it should be around 42%. After passing the new 5-year budget last month, or 5-year forecast, we're at 41.54%. That's 1% over last year's. And so far this year, we're still getting about almost $190,000 of interest. I have seen the interest rates going down. It's in the 4 point something now instead of 5, so we're probably going to start seeing a reduction in interest. The expenses were at 39.47%. That's up 8.12% over fiscal year 24. The main thing on that one is because last year the 3 pays was in December, and this year it was in November. So that's where we getting this. So after December, we should probably see it equal out again. 85% of that is to salaries and benefits. So through the year for general fund, total revenues are about 9.5 million with total expenses right around 9 million. We had a deficit spend in November of a little over 1 million. But for the fiscal year so far, we are still at a surplus of 481,000 with a true days cash of 128. Those are the balance. Oh, let me turn this. Those are the amounts that we have seeking reimbursement. I did get for some reason, the National School Lunch Program for October took till December 2nd to get that reimbursement. I don't know why it took so long, but so that one's come in. All of our the top portion, the 161,000's come in. So the only one I'm still waiting for is the November lunch program one. And then total balances for all accounts is a little over $8.6 million. And I got word Friday that the audit was done and completed, and with no findings and no comments. So I should get my certificate this year.
Congratulations on that. That's awesome.
So that's a good thing. Any questions on that?
One thing I had on for board discussion, we have 2 programs we have going on that our school nurses have run. One is the IC program where students are fitted with glasses, have the optometrist come, have them to go through the exams. If they need glasses, outfit them with glasses. So that's the IC program. And then the mobile dentist program. The problem with the IC and the mobile dentist program, that those folks who come only want to come to one location or have to have not this one location, but require a certain number of kids to be within the program. So they're not going to come for the Kelly and Jessica, or Kelly and Jessica are in front of me. So maybe Kelly has 4 kids, Jessica has 5, and they're saying we're not coming to those respective buildings because that's not enough kids to serve in one location. But if we can get those kids to a location together, a joint location, they'll say, yes, we could serve those 9 kids or end up being maybe 20 kids. But I'm asking the board because we have to transport those students via school transportation. Now, I know some parents want to be available to every time that their child has a medical procedure or something that's done. So I don't know how that we'll combat that. If they're wanting to be present, we'll have to maybe swipe their driver's license or get a visitor's pass. But I'm asking if the board would pick up the cost for the transportation portion of the IC and the mobile dentist program. So
We have
probably,
an estimate.
probably $1,000 to $2,000 for the program for both together.
And those are free services to the kids, right?
Yeah.
There's no cost to the students, correct? It's just a cost to the
The glasses are free and everything.
Yes.
Right.
From my understanding, the family doesn't pay anything.
So what we're we're offering the IC and the dental program. Is it offered to all 12 grades K through?
It is,
Okay, so then we would the location, we just pick one location.
that's what we're going to do.
So whatever has the.
And we transport those kids to those
Transfer the other
appointments.
one to that location. As a nurse, as a program that I see is beneficial. I mean, I hope that we can find the money, because they'll come, what, twice a year, once a year?
It'll be a couple times a year for, especially for the, I know for the mobile dentist, the IC program, I'm not sure. I think it might be one time a year, but
With dentistry, you're trying to get in, especially even the medical college, it's very difficult to get into dentistry and just the overflow. My opinion, it's all about health. You'll see well, you're not going to do well in school. If you're out with a toothache or whatever, you're not going to do well, if you're bothered by something. If you're asking my opinion, absolutely. We need to find the money to provide. Then maybe once the clinics, I mean, that'd be a good place to even set up. Is that something I'm thinking about? Or would that be a crossover?
that would be probably a crossover, but I don't think there'll be enough space in there anyway, to put it there.
I think both programs are wonderful programs, so.
Now, the Eagles did donate $500 for transportation, so the nurses have approached the Eagles, so they have that money but it may be accept more money beyond that. But if you did just quick math, depending upon the trips, and you're taking a driver at top of the pay scale, shuffling around all day, it could be between $1,000 to $2,000 for both both programs combined. As I look at it.
I think it's $2,000 plus. My opinion.
And I agree with her.
I agree with that as well.
So I'll let the nurses know as far as when they coordinate, and then we'll have to work with transportation to get them there.
Budget was good, but I think just a well needed.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion in a second to approve the treasurer's reports and recommendations?
So moved.
On your agenda there, you have, the financial statements for November to approve, the payment of bills for November. The regular board meeting minutes of November 11th. We do have the renewal for the financial dashboards through strategic solution for the year 2025 in the amount of $6,950. Received the check from the Claymont Foundation for $32,178 for teacher and building grant awards. Authorize the treasurer to pay the science of reading stipends. Those will either be $1,200 or $400, and that's set forth from House Bill 33. And then there was one then and now certificate item on the certificate to approve.
I have a question.
Yes.
The financial reports dashboard, is that just the program that is used?
Yeah,
or-
it's an online program that I use it. It culminates all of the expenses as easily. I
Okay.
can manipulate it easy, but then that's also what I use for my 5-year forecast. That's the software
Okay.
that does that.
That's what I figured, but I just want to make sure.
Yep.
Everybody good? Roll call?
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison.
Yes.
And Mrs. Wolf.
Yes.
Thank you.
And can I get a motion in a second to approve the following superintendent items?
So moved.
Okay, to go through the list of items, we have the resignation of Lisa Summers as speech and language pathologist. She submitted a resignation effective November 24th, 2024. Susan Burdette, she submitted her resignation effective December 4th. Employed Jimmy Maxwell under a 1-year contract with a 90-day probationary period effective December 3rd. He will be a custodian right now it's at the high school. Revised the Carol Bate resignation to December 6th from December 19th per Carol's request. Carol wanted to push up her date of resignation, so to the 6th. Joe Lungsford is high school credit recovery for tutoring sessions. Those will begin in January at the rate of $27 per hour. Brenda Metzger for home instruction at $27 per hour. Home instruction would be for a student that we have. So we have appointing Carla Armstrong to fill a 7-year term to the Claymont Public Library, beginning December 1st to 2025 and December 31st, 2031. And we have a list of, that was presented to you, a list of Kent Tusk nursing students for 1-day shadowing with the school nurses. We have a couple different things here for items under transportation, for emergency use of the Claymont school buses for the Denison Depot for the Polar Express purposes. So if the train breaks down along the route and we need to transport those people that are on the bus or on the train back, so we could use those buses for that purpose. And we have the transportation guidelines for 25-26 school year. Also the transportation handbook for that would be for the drivers. We have 2 agreements. We have a Learn Well agreement and an Envision Academy agreement that were within your board information. Memorandum of understanding for the co-ed foster grandparent program and senior companion program. So, and we have that. Approve the final forms as our student online registration platform at the cost of $9,704.50. As I explained in my update, we have been using SC View as our online registration form for students. They have not met our expectations with that. And that was even in the last year. This year, we're not even paying anything because they didn't meet the expectation in the first year. They haven't gotten to the point where we need to be we're comfortable with them moving forward. They were supposed to have these upgrades by before Thanksgiving. The upgrades they said they had ready weren't ready. So we just said, we're going final forms. I know last week the secretaries had a Zoom call with final forms, and I was at one of the buildings and they said, thank you. This is a lot better than what we currently have. So it is 2,000 of that 9,000 is set up. So we'll have an annual fee to use final forms, but I think everybody else in the county uses final forms as well. Approve the remote learning plan as required by House Bill 33 for makeup hours of school closings. So the remote learning plan will be used for days 6, 7, and 8. If we get to days 9, 10, Mrs. Lloyd and I and the labor management team would sit down and say, how are we going to handle 9, 10, and beyond? So that would have to be looking at hours for students. Currently within the negotiated agreement, it had blizzard bags, but then the law changed last year. That's where we came up with the remote plan. They said you couldn't use blizzard bags. So we had the remote plans for days 6, 7, and 8. We signed the agreement last year as well and passed it. So that's what we have in place for this year. So days 6, 7, and 8 will be remote learning days if needed. We have a couple custodians for the school year. We have Alex Edwards and Charles Bridgman III. And so those have been, or I know Alex for sure has been used, and Charles has been used as well. So any questions on those items?
Roll call?
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison and Mrs. Wolf.
Yes. Can I get a motion in a second to approve the following recommendations from Justin Jones, the athletic director?
I'll make that motion.
Continue that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Jones has recommended the athletic supplementals. He has some baseball, softball, track. He also has volunteers, which happen to be for baseball, softball, and wrestling. And he also had proving of payments for the Ohio High School athletic tournaments for being reimbursed by the OHSA. We hosted several volleyball tournaments, and we just missed hosting a football playoff game too. Had Steubenville Catholic Central won, we would have been hosting a football playoff game too.
Roll call?
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison.
Yes.
Mrs. Wolf.
Yes. Any new business?
I don't have any. Does the board have any new business?
Can I get a motion in a second to approve the following items? Set the organizational meeting for 2025 for January 13th, 2025 to begin at. What time do I still think?
Can we, yeah, so do the organization at 6 and then do the other, like you say, it's 6:15 or 6:30 or something. You have to do that now. Or
If you want to do the organizational meeting at 6 and then 6:15 be regular
Yeah.
meeting.
I think so, if that works. Okay.
6:15?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Mrs. Grandison.
Yes.
Ms. Campbell
Yes.
and Mrs. Wolf.
Yes.
This is the fun part,
Yeah.
because we have to take a motion to open up nominations, then close nominations, then officially vote for people. So,
Okay, can I get a motion in a second to open nominations for President Pro Tem?
So moved.
Roll call?
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison, Mrs. Wolf.
Yes.
I'm hoping I did this correctly. So then you open the nominations, now you have your roll call, so now you make sure you nominate people. Hopefully I did that correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
I would nominate Michelle Wolf to be the president pro tem. Or pro temporary, however you say that, to do the business meeting.
Can I get a motion in a second to close the nomination?
You have to have a second to my motion.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Just
Okay.
make sure we do it
She
right.
said she needs a second to her nomination.
Yeah, you can second it.
I can second, okay, I'll second it.
Yep. Yeah,
I, yeah,
Thank you.
I'm
that's
missing
right.
something.
I'll make a motion to close the nomination.
Okay. And I'll second it. Roll call?
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Wolf
Yes.
and Mrs. Grandison.
And then can we get a motion in a second to appoint Michelle Wolf as the President Pro Tem?
Isn't that what we just did?
Well, we took,
Oh,
we,
wait.
Oh, no,
we.
so this is the actual vote for it. No, this is the vote for it. We voted, we nominated, so I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll second it.
Just
Okay.
for the pro temp, for the organizational meeting.
Roll call?
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Wolf
Yes.
and Mrs. Grandison.
I think so.
That's it.
Okay, we're going on for employment and then.
Well, I want to do this thing.
Okay.
So again, over this,
Okay.
could be this, but it also is going to be that. Okay, so, I'd say this is one. And it's be that is about.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna-
If you want to keep E, yeah, but other than that, no, I don't
Hey,
have any
Ken.
action.
Did you see the names under
No.
this?
I don't have any action, no.
Okay, can I get a motion in a second to enter executive session?
So moved.
I'll second.
Who seconded?
Lois.
I think you both, we're gonna do it that way.
We're going in for employment and number 2 and number 8, investigation of charges, complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, and matters to be kept confidential by law with no action to follow. Roll call?
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison?
Yeah.
And Mrs. Wolf?
Yeah, there's some errors there.
Yeah, yeah, we caught that.
Had I known that, we would have fixed that one at the beginning.
It's all good.
2 and 8, right?
2 and 8.
E, okay.
E 641. If you want to go